Yeah, dude, I just got off talking about diet sodas. I just got off today I think is the first day that I'm going to be done with the mini cut. And I just
Mhm.
there's Fry's Electronics, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in Arizona, it's their grocery stores. So there's a Fry's grocery store down the street, and they had like I don't know, 20 different of the liquid sweeteners.
Yeah.
So I picked a bunch up, and I think I made myself sick of sweeteners because I was like so hungry. So I was just like, I do soda water, and then I put like a bunch of the sweetener in it, and I woke up
Oh, okay.
like almost like feeling nauseous from
You should
drinking
get
so
the
much.
Soda Stream.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. It
You can buy
just
like a
those are
used one.
yeah, the tanks are expensive though too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just rather. I mean, I don't. Maybe I'm wasting money buying sparkling water. I don't know. I'd have to do the math.
I don't know either.
But I do even in the off season, just like doing orange juice and soda water. Like that's super good. Just to like
No,
get
I
enough
agree with that.
fluid.
I've been
Because
doing I mean, it's not the most important thing, but I've been doing essential amino acids like intra workout now, just because it's something I'd never done previously. And obviously, I
right,
know it's not gonna make like the vast difference if like your
yeah,
nutrition isn't already on par. But I've been doing that with orange juice going into the workout, and I like it.
yeah, yeah. I've I don't think there's a lot of evidence, like just a lot of research on it in general. EAAs are definitely anti-catabolic, but it seems like more so in like in an unfed states, like when you don't.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to say if you're training intensely that they wouldn't be a benefit.
Hmm.
I would probably say I used to when I trained under John with his coach.
He made you take his product.
We yeah. Well, yeah. He actually didn't have the product. He had one at True Nutrition called PeriMD, and it was the same thing before he released his product. That one was pretty good. It's still on there too. It's cherry limeade flavor. If you ever, it has everything in it. It has the cyclic dextrin and then the EAAs.
Yeah,
That one's
I used his carb powder actually, the Granite Supplements carb
yeah,
powder.
yeah. And it used to be recovery. He had like a cotton candy flavor that was super good, and I used that for like I don't know 2 years.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I think I noticed a difference. Like I was training like really fucking hard when I trained with him, and I wasn't really getting a whole lot like very sore. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it made some benefit. I think maybe it does.
John
Again,
has
it's like
pyramid sets, huh? Where it like just works up in sets of 8 or something like that, and then like
yeah, it's funny. You know what? Like I remember. I'll circle back to that, but it's funny. I was on a post. Someone, I think it was Mike, who was like saying, John is evidence based and he does this as far as training, and I was like,
he has a
I think he is evidence based to the extent, but I think I was like, I don't know what I don't know what you're talking about in the comments. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I was doing multiple sets to failure because he was basically saying how their training was similar or whatever. When I was under John, like we were just doing RPE 10 with a lot of things, and then his coach was having me take at least my top end set to failure, if not another set. So, but with with John, yeah. So it's like pyramid up, and you do your last three are supposed to be your working, sometimes four. So basically, once you get within, it's still based on the same fundamental principle. Like once you get within that proximity to failure, 3 to 4 reps, that's kind of your working sets, and then that's when you start counting. And then your top, you still do a top set, and that one's supposed to be to failure usually. Sometimes he won't take like bench and squat. Excuse me, he won't take those to failure. Like it'll be RPE 8.
Mhm.
Honestly, his programs are really fun. Like if you ever want any of them, I have them. So
He
they're
does a lot of cool exercises, like very
yeah,
like
yeah. Like they're
quick.
definitely like
uh,
yeah, and I think you can do his training in a progressive manner. Like one of these days I'll probably go back to him and just like track all the lifts, and you can probably make some pretty serious progress, and they're really fun. Like the
Yeah.
exercises he uses, like he's creative, but not like so creative that you're doing some random shit. Like it's like
Yeah.
this variation on this exercise because I find it works better. So I think those programs are really cool. So
It's not like that one guy. Do you know? I'm sure you've seen him. It's like Julian Smith or something like that.
oh
He
yeah, he does
all
some weird variations.
yeah, and it's like, dude, it's like, how do you make gains when you do this one weird like one arm pull
Yeah,
up where you're at like a weird angle, like you
right.
know?
You can't like I remember like his sissy squats and stuff. It's like you can't load your quads properly when you do a sissy squat. And again, it's like you probably can make some gains. I mean, you look at someone like Regan Grimes, who like the foundation of his training is a lot of those things. Like he still has the compounds in there, but he does some weird shit too. Is it the most optimal? What was that? Yeah, the grimy girl. Oh my god. But is it the most optimal? Like probably not. It's probably suboptimal. You know, like I'd much rather like a hack squat or the plat squat, where it's like you come onto your toes. Like what's better? You know, probably just a straight up hack squat.
That makes you think. It's like, well, what if Reagan took his training to like a more intense level, like a progressive manner, like some of these other people? It's like he wouldn't have been 4th or 5th at the Europa. He would have been 1st.
I don't know if you watched the interview I did with Mike. That's like literally what he said. Because I was like, well, like, what do you think about this? You know, and getting people to an evidence-based approach. And he was like basically saying, he's like, it could be the difference between, you know, 3rd and 1st at a pro show. It could be the difference between, you know, 10 to 15 pounds for some people. He said, like, you know, it could have been Ronnie Coleman could have won 10 Olympias. You know, we don't know. And that's what I think is so exciting. And that's why I'm so on this train. And I think that's the direction we should head, is just like, what if a bodybuilder actually followed a truly evidence-based approach and stopped relying on anecdote? Like, yeah, sure, anecdote's still important and experience is still important. Don't discount that. But like, what if we leaned more into the evidence base? Because I think we're building a good amount of momentum there, you know? Mm-hmm. So like, I think it's an interesting what if, you know what I mean? Like it could be a huge difference when you're talking about competition.
Yeah. And that like brings it to like Patrick Thor's training. Like, I think it's very odd, but then at the same time, I know he has them at least training in a progressive manner with like exercises that I think are actually going to be like the best bang for your buck, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the fundamentals are there. You notice some of these coaches, the fundamentals are there, and that's why they're getting such great results. Like Patrick, I think Patrick's really, what he's got right now is he doesn't blow his athletes up and get them really fat. He keeps them really sensitive, insulin sensitive. He keeps them lean. He mini diets them. He may not label it as such, but that's what's going on. You know what I mean? Like he if you listen to those podcasts he did, that Fouad did, you know, or the one he did with Patrick, he talks about how like if someone is getting too fat, he drops their calories back down, and then he pushes them back up, and that's why they have this full round look. And it's like, okay, well, you know, that's kind of like look at people like RP who have the mini cut manual and they do it in a more formal manner. It's just like these coaches are kind of doing those things, like, or like Matt Jansen, like the fundamentals of hypertrophy are there, like progressive overload and
Chick-fil-A on Sundays.
Yeah, you can't even go to Chick-fil-A on Sundays.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
And progressive overload and execution and all that stuff is there. I think there's a couple things that are just like, you know, if they could tweak them, would be more optimal. But I mean, who am I to fucking say like I'm not, you know, on that level or whatever? But
me neither.
Yeah. All right, we should probably introduce this podcast.
Yeah.
What episode? I always have to check what episode I'm on.
Tell me, bro. This is yours.
Well, let's see.
I feel like this angle on my camera is really weird because my computer's down and I'm like above the computer. But it's okay.
It's okay. Have you seen? I mean, like Mike just had it like up in his face.
Oh, I know. He like sits down like this.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that he just doesn't care. Like
he does funny things with the space too.
Yeah. Shoot. Let's see. I wish I put the number. Okay. I guess the last one I did was with Chris. Let's see which number that was. I didn't even put the number on it.
Damn.
Well, this is probably the Conscious Bodybuilding Podcast, episode number 7. I'll have to check back later. Today, I have Jordan Matthews on. Jordan is a friend of mine, and he's a bodybuilder just like me. We're just fans of bodybuilding. We're fans of, you know, an evidence-based approach for bodybuilding. We're fans of pharmacology. I think it's really important that part of the reason why I do this podcast too, I think and some of the direction I want to go is just to have conversations with like-minded people. You see my buddy Matthew on here who co-hosted a couple times, and it's like, we're not like experts or anything. or maybe we're headed in that direction, and it can eventually be there. But I think it's just more so putting on my friends in the community. And bodybuilding is such a niche sport. I think it's really important that we all have a conversation and talk about this stuff. I don't think there's enough discussion around competition or any of that stuff. So I think that's the goal that we should, that I want to kind of keep moving forward as I get more settled in, is to have more of those conversations about competing and what we'd like to see change in the sport, and things like that. So yeah. How you doing today, Jordan?
Doing well, doing really
Yeah.
well.
What, if you don't mind me asking, like, what's the direction that you want to head, as far as, because you love bodybuilding, what is the direction that you want to head with bodybuilding? I know you want to work somewhere in that sector in the future.
Yeah, so well, it's gonna okay. The self-doubt thing we've talked about a bunch of times, and
Right.
so I'm not sure if I'll ever have like a pro level for physique, and I know like I wouldn't do open or anything like that. I think classic would be something I'd like to compete in, especially because like my height, I do have like enough of a weight cap to make it where it's like I probably wouldn't have to be shrinking down a ton. But
Right.
other than that, I mean, I'd really like to just help people. Um, and I know that sounds kind of like cliche, but I think it's boiled down to that a lot more because I've seen how much like legitimate just BS gets spewed on like a
Right.
level of people who like people just believe this stuff. And I think I've learned that mainly from like my job, essentially, like working at the
Yeah.
supplement shop, like it blows my mind. So I want to help people get in the right direction and actually give them good advice.
Yeah, it's wild that we kind of came to these conclusions on our own. Like, I mean, you're one of how many people that I know that are interested in bodybuilding. Like, I can count them on my fingers, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny how we linked up and we just kind of already had the same idea of like, dude, like there's so much misinformation being put out, and like the more you actually learn and realize like how things are done, you realize, like, whoa, like everybody's doing stuff wrong, and
Yeah.
all the prescriptions that are going out are just like totally BS, like you said. So yeah, I think that's kind of the direction I'm in too, and I think mine comes from, and yours probably a little bit too, is just that, like, it was really difficult, and it's been very difficult,
Yeah.
and I probably could have saved myself a lot of time if I did things right and knew where to look for information from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's tough because, like, luckily now social media is a huge resource. YouTube is a huge resource, but like when I very first started out, it was just magazines and books, and those were somewhat helpful, but there was contradicting information and like stuff that wasn't backed by any substantial evidence by any means. So, and now that access to the information is out there, but the access to people who garner attention is also there. And usually the people who garner the most attention aren't putting out the best information. They're putting out the stuff that's like headline, like, lose 20 pounds of fat in 2 weeks, the kind of ridiculous stuff that people gravitate towards
Yeah.
generally.
A bunch of buzzwords and
Right. And so, like, it's not like you're going to be able to get everybody away from that. Some people just are always going to be drawn to that. But, if you could stop one or two people, I mean, I think that's what I think is really cool, is being
most
able to
definitely.
show people like, hey, and I think really too, man, there's like a lot of like unnecessary like pain and suffering people go through with dieting. Like, I know some people who straight up feel like helpless, right? Because they're like, oh, I've tried every single diet and it doesn't work. And it's like, well, you haven't tried anything that's been sustainable, and you haven't tried anything that works for you. So why, and then they get frustrated and they think there's something inherently wrong with themselves. And I was in this place too. And that bothers me the most, because this is like, they really just don't know. Like, they just, sometimes people really want to help themselves, but they don't have the tools or the knowledge necessary to set themselves up to do so. But yeah, I mean, so ultimately you want to help people.
Yeah.
Is there any like specific facet that you want to do that in?
Ooh, I think it'd be if I ever become knowledgeable enough to do like contest preps, I'd really really like to help people with that because I think things can be done so much more efficiently. Because I've
Right.
listened to the videos, with AJ Sims and with Patrick Tour and with Matt,
Right.
like kind of like right now the up and coming like top elite coaches.
Right.
And I've listened to them, and it's so like, okay, obviously they know how to prep a client, I don't,
Yeah, yeah.
But when it comes down to like me listening to their overall fundamentals, I'm thinking about things and it's like we could really change some things and have this be so much better for the person.
Right. Yeah, no, and I agree. And it's like I'm, it's tough because it's like, look, we're both really young, and it's like, who are we to be like, oh well, they
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing. But when we start to understand and gain more knowledge, you start to realize, like, I wonder why they do this thing. And that sometimes, like, I'm all for, doing things. Like, I guess that's really
Yeah.
broad, but sometimes the reasoning and logic behind doing those things doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like when you
Like what
actually understand what's up. Go ahead.
like Fuad's bro science.
Yeah, he says some stuff sometimes, and it's funny because he'll have he'll have more evidence-based people on, and they'll say stuff, and then he like just doesn't listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like he like has to, I don't know, but yeah, and again, there's more optimal ways to do things. Like my main, and I talk about this all the time, but it's one of the reasons why I found an evidence-based approach is because I haven't had a single contest prep where a coach has not, excuse me, had me like diet really hard for an extended period of time.
Hmm.
And when you understand how like the body works and how your set point works, that's not sustainable. And I always crash and burn. And I can go fucking hard. Like I don't doubt my ability anymore. Like I can go fucking hard in a diet for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But once I've lost a significant amount of body weight, there are just things in your body that come into play that just,
Hormone function, everything, so many
right,
things.
your ghrelin and your leptin and all these things, they start to get out of whack because your body is trying to resist weight loss, and by not giving it a break, these psychological trigger, like all these things make it almost impossible to go through. And some people are just more stubborn than I am. I'm just
Yeah,
not
yeah.
stubborn. Like people say they listen to their body. Like people don't fucking listen to their body. Bodybuilders don't listen to their body. They will beat themselves into the fucking ground, and they will go way too hard on a diet, and they'll suffer health consequences because of it.
Yeah.
I will actually be like, okay, well, I legitimately feel sick. I'm run down. I need a break. And when you're working with a coach who says that's not how we do things, that's where I get fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where my experience comes from. And I haven't had a single bodybuilding coach that has done that, like that hasn't done that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree. I think things are being done in a ridiculous manner. And the more I learn about it, unfortunately, a lot of these coaches still exist in, it's like they're in a different space, right? They're in the evidence-based space, or they're in the natural bodybuilding coach space. And they still have not integrated into bodybuilding. So I agree. I mean, and I think it just comes with the desire. Like, I think for me, it's like, I just need someone to be, you need to get someone who isn't like, like the sexiness of bodybuilding prep, which, I mean, it's not fucking sexy at all, but like the
hard work
sexiness
of
of
the Stairmaster for 3
right.
hours.
If we can, like, if someone can like turn away from that and just embrace this for a little bit, then we can have some really crazy looking people and some really successful people. And I just think it just takes like a couple people who are willing to invest that in myself, in the future. And that can happen. And I think, promoting that is part of like what I like to do too. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you think about any of these coaches, they all started where we started, and it's tough to get past, like you said, it's tough to get past that doubt of like, you may have the capability to do that, or you may one day have the capability to do that. But if you continue to, become more knowledgeable and just do it. I mean, like you're able to help people at the store. I'm able to help people through coaching and through social media. And I think that's a really, really big tool. Just being able to reach a lot of people and kind of change things.
I've gotten a few clients.
Oh, really?
I just don't ever have anybody who like it's like I make it clear in the beginning. It's like, hey, like this is ongoing. Like you have multiple like times throughout the week that like for like check-ins, and then you can pretty much reach me like whenever throughout the week.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on how quick I'll reply, and just like nobody does, and like nobody adheres to it. But then it's like you paid me up front, so it's fine.
Right.
But come on,
Well,
like
I mean,
there's been
good.
that
No, good.
there's been like one person, like a kid who was working with someone who previously worked at the store and all that stuff, and I changed everything, and no more chicken and whitefish.
I told you this. Yeah.
And it's like the kid only weighs 150 fucking pounds. Sorry, 150 pounds
You can
anyways.
swear, I don't
Like,
give a shit.
okay.
I don't care if these podcasts are monetized. I mean, I'm not monetized on my channel yet, but I don't really care. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bad.
Uh, yeah. Well, I told you that. Like, I mean, I've been coaching people. I've been, I mean, I've at least helped like 50 people at this point, if not more. I used to help people for free, and then I realized like the compliance is almost zero when you help people for free.
I just never did that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
at first I was like, yeah, like I should probably just like help some people. Well, I mean, I helped my friends, but like when people
Right.
came to the store, Chris was like, well, like you have to charge people. Like I charge $150. Like you got to know your worth. And I was like, well, I do know my worth, and I feel like I know more than you, so maybe I should charge something. But
Yeah. And yeah, well, and I remember reading somewhere like people don't value something if there's no, like, if you don't actually pay for it,
they want
especially
to.
in the coaching realm. Like they want to, they if they get something for free, they're less likely to comply with it. And I've noticed that like compliance is better when I charge people, right? But it's hard to say, man. What's my retention rate of people is like over 6 months is like 25% maybe. And I personally don't think that's myself. Like I don't prescribe anything that's unsustainable. I think it's just I don't know what it is really. If some people just don't want it bad enough, I guess. And I don't mean to talk down about anybody. I think
Yeah,
everybody's got their own reason for doing things. But I do the same thing. Like check-ins. Like I'm basically an unlimited resource. Compliance. Like it's
yeah,
it kind of sucks because I try not to take it personally. Like as far as like if someone's not complying, like it almost like makes me upset. Like I want them to do well. Like I really do. Like I see my clients and I'm like, man, I really want this person to make progress. And when they're not, it kind of, I try to have to like, I kind of have to separate the coaching from myself because it can actually like change my mood almost.
yeah,
But but the thing is though, the reason why I know those other people, they don't want it bad enough is because I have clients that check in with me every day. They send me their weight every day. They send me videos of their workouts. They're always communicative. Like, and I know myself, like I know when I've worked with our coaches, I don't fucking miss a check-in. I have any questions, I ask them. Like you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, and I try not to compare everybody to myself. I don't think like I'm the norm as far as like, someone who competes or someone who trains,
yeah,
but sometimes I don't see that effort reciprocated. Like, and all I want is effort. Like if you show effort, I reciprocate. Right. But I
yeah.
just don't think people reciprocate. I mean, I've had people that I've straight up charged and then they never check in with me ever again. So they literally just gave me $100. Like, and I don't feel good about that. Like, I'm not like, wow, cool, free money. It's like, no, I like legitimately wanted to help this person. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know if that's actually like our generation or the time we're in, or it's just people in general. But even then, if I can get someone for a month and just kind of shift their mentality about things and how dieting works, that may help them in the future. So, it
Most
is what it
definitely.
is, right? But that's a reason why I eventually would want to work with competitors, because like
Yeah.
generally speaking, they're going to be compliant. They're going to do the check-in. Like I want to work with, if I could mirror myself and then work with myself, you know what I mean? Like that's why I like coaching myself, because I know I'm going to be fucking compliant. But if I could be like, have someone who is like me and train them, that would be so cool. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I don't know. I'd also like to like specialize like mainly in the training and like the pharmacology of things. Well, I mean the nutrition and the pharmacology of things. Obviously the training is crucially important, but like
Right.
for me to specify on something, super interested in like the nutrition and the pharmacology, like the minute details of what micronutrition works and like how that is going to
Yeah.
help the person, how it's going to help their overall hormones, and then obviously
Right.
supplements.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what Stan was doing with the vertical diet. And I
Yeah.
mean, dude, it reflects in my blood panels, like focusing on micronutrition
Oh yeah.
along with pharmacology, like the synergy too, like how well the pharmacology works and the dosages.
Yeah.
Like when focusing on micronutrition, it's crazy, like free test.
Yeah.
The hormone ratios, your SHBG, all that stuff is affected by what you
Yeah.
ingest partially. And that's insane. And like you were talking about earlier, again, it's like with the the kind of like poor coaching that goes along. Like the fucking shit that's being prescribed for pharmacology is just like
out of control.
And it's like, okay, so playing with your diet can be dangerous. Playing with fucking drugs is extremely dangerous. And there's some shit that's going out where I'm just like, you're literally going to kill people. And we don't work with drugs that generally kill people instantaneously, like a few do, but you're going to have a heart attack in 20 years cycles, basically. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's where coming into, I think the layout of something, like what drug goes with something else, is super important, because people don't pay attention to that. They'll just be like, they'll just have a random concoction or mixture of things, and it's like, okay, well, that makes no sense due to like what receptors are actually being activated. And then like just the sheer dosages being used is just out of control. I've seen.
Yeah, and there's no reason.
Like,
oh yeah, good.
Yeah, and that's not even like competitors, because I don't talk to competitors about what they're using, like, you know, like besides yourself, but like I'm talking about like everyday like gym goers. Like I'm talking about people who like, you know, aren't even like, you know, competitors, and they just don't understand. I don't know.
Right. And and that's what I mean. Part of it's the misinformation going out. Part of it's the lack of good information. I think something that's scary is that I think even some of the evidence-based coaches in the pharmacology realm are doing a poor job, because they are not understanding the interactions of certain hormones. And again, I'm not a genius. Like I don't understand all of this, but the little things that I do understand, I realize like people are doing shit wrong. And it's just like, it's so frustrating to see. I'm really grateful that I've learned all of it that I've learned at my age and caught on to this stuff early on, because I could definitely be suffering from you know, negative health side effects, especially starting so young. But I'm really grateful that I found some of this information, but I can't imagine how many people are suffering or going to suffer as a result of this poor information going out.
Yeah. Like I'm not an endocrine doctor by any means. Like, you know, I just think a good rule of thumb is picking like the most efficacious supplements, and essentially from there compiling them and getting your blood work done regularly to see how it works.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's pretty straightforward on that realm. One thing I would say is like, okay, ultimately dosage, from what I do understand, dosage does matter. Your total drug load is going to determine, to an extent, going to determine how muscular you can get. Now, if you go to fucking 2 grams on your first cycle, there's nowhere you can go from that, right? And you can maybe gain some muscle, but that doesn't mean that you don't titrate up, right? Total drug load eventually will become important, especially if you're like myself, where I'm like, okay, I might be I'm 230 pounds and I want to be 240 pounds. You may have to up drug load. Like, unfortunately, that's just part of the scenario, right? You just simply need more to be a larger human, right?
Yeah.
But that being said, going from 500 on your first cycle to a gram on your second cycle to trend on your third cycle is extremely stupid. So I would never recommend that. Titrating up is really smart. Again, I didn't preface this. I'm not a doctor either. Just from my experience, and this is the way I think things should be done. Another thing, like you said, safer practice.
Yeah.
So using compounds that are not
safer practice model and applying it.
Right. Exactly. And using compounds that aren't going to cause deleterious side effects. So, you know, don't use trenbolone in an off season. Try to avoid it if you can. Try to use things that interact with your body better. I mean, testosterone is a bioidentical hormone.
Bioidentical.
Right. Your body knows exactly what to do with it, right? To an extent. Once you get to a certain dosage, then you need something that's
physiological ranges, but
right. Then you need something that's more selective, right? So once you start to experience side effects, that's probably where you would throw in like a Deca or a Primobolan. Pretty straightforward. But and then if you take something and it reflects poorly in your blood work, which is, again, like you said, why we should do blood work, then you need to adjust that. And my thing is, the way I approach it is, I don't want to take anything that requires me to take ancillary drugs. So if I'm taking too much testosterone that I need an Arimidex, then I need to take less testosterone. It's as simple as that. Why put more drugs into your system? Like, it's just going to complicate things. It's going to skew. Like, if you took Arimidex, you're going to fuck up your lipids. Like,
the AI's effect on lipids is pretty terrible.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though, is like, okay, so if I'm like, okay, well, I took too much testosterone. Now I have to take Arimidex. Okay, now I'm going to crush my lipids, and I'm taking Arimidex, which has so many other downstream effects. Makes the hormones more cardiotoxic and liver toxic and neurotoxic. So it's just really stupid because people slam a bunch of drugs. They'll take way too much of a certain drug. They'll need to take Arimidex, a ton of it. They'll need to take, and then they'll start crushing their estrogen because they don't understand how estrogen interacts with everything and how it's so important and vital in,
Overall, well,
neurotoxicity. Yeah, exactly. And how cardioprotective it is, how much it actually improves muscle building. It's just, and then the thing is though, these coaches don't understand that either. Right. And so it's just like, that's what they're prescribing. They may have 100 people under them who are doing these cycles, and it's just like, fuck, dude. Like,
yeah. So, and yet again, what you said something about titrating up, 100% true, obviously, but up to an extent, there is a cutoff. Like, people don't quite understand. There is a cutoff on how much, I guess, your dosage can be before it just becomes way less effective. Like, for example, like anecdotally, I've worked with someone who, like, I looked at what they were using and I calculated it out to be like literally 3 grams, and I don't know how long that had been like that. Cut everything like down to like pretty much TRT for as long as that person was willing to do that. So not long enough, but got them on drugs that are more efficacious with literally like less than half the dose, and felt way better. And like, obviously I don't have the science to back this, but I think there's a certain level of toxicity that when there's that much, it's just so toxic, it's going to be like impeding gains, and that person actually continued to make some more progress on a way lower dose, I think, because the toxicity being so lesser.
Well, I think that's situation specific to that individual that you're talking about.
Most definitely.
Because, okay, so like if someone like Jordan Peters, like I go through his forums every once in a while, and he'll take like a 3-gram cycle or something like that, right? But I think, one, his nutrition is on point. 2, he's built up to that over time, right? To where he's noticed a demand for it. He hasn't just taken the drugs and then 3, I mean, those people who tend to cycle like that, like you just said, they're not androgen. Their androgen receptors are not sensitive. They're not going to respond to the drug load. So what you did by taking him down has made him more sensitive, so that when he came back, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying is like that. Right. That's what I'm saying is titrating up is important, because if you go up there and you stay there for too long, like the thing is, like, training needs to be periodized, nutrition needs to be periodized, and drug usage needs to be periodized, right? You do something for too long, especially if it's strenuous on the body, and your body will resist. That's just how it is. You mass gain for too long, your body resists. It starts getting fat. You try to cut for too long, your body resists. Your hunger hormone goes through the roof. You experience metabolic adaptation. You train really hard for too long, and things start to snap. Like, it's just a fact of our body, right? And how it functions. We're trying to elicit this change, yet we're always trying to make it do something, and we never give it a break. But so that's probably the situation that you're dealing with there. Again, though, I think it's like total drug load will matter eventually, right? And some people aren't very good, are hyper responders, and some people don't respond well to drugs. So there's so many individual considerations there, right? Do I think the amateur competitor should be going over 1.5 grams? Absolutely not. Most people shouldn't have no need for it. If you are an amateur and you need to go up to 2 grams, then, and if you don't experience side effects, that's great. But if you do, bodybuilding might not be the smartest decision long-term for health. So, I mean, I think that, again, that's my personal opinion based on the current information that I have. That may change in the future, but I would say, like, currently, I think that's kind of where I'm at as far as things go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's some of that shit that's going on in underground bodybuilding, or not even bodybuilding, just gym bro culture is just ridiculous.
I've read some, just out of curiosity, I was reading some of the like forum posts on Boston's thing of like, just, people like review my nutrition and supplements.
Oh yeah, I never really read those when I was in there.
And it's just like wow, like I want to see pictures of you, because like this sounds nutty, like this is like ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, their understanding of, like, what they think is necessary. I don't, and it's funny because I've talked about this before. It's like we have professionals who like say what they used, but nobody
Yeah.
ever believes them. And I'm like, what is their incentive to lie? Like, I mean, maybe there's some to like protect their ego, but like, I'm just like, dude, like Lee
Oh
Priest,
my
like
God.
Dorian Yates, like they're fairly honest people on the whole, as far as like what they did. Why would they lie about their drug usage? What makes you so convinced that they're lying? You know what I mean?
That was like a thing. I had this. It literally. I let Instagram get to me one day, and this is some time back. You already know about this, but it was on that anabolic doctor's
Oh
Instagram post
yes,
where he was using Luke's name for essentially clicks and clout,
yeah,
and I commented, and he was like, people like, because there's all these dumb comments like, oh, like these pros are using this and this and that and this and that, and it's like that's why he passed away. And it was like, well, like maybe if you watched like his podcast where they like literally actually get into that stuff, you would know that Luke is the one who is known for like being like, yo, like I can't take this and that because I don't like the way it makes me feel. Very simple,
yeah,
and definitely he was more in tune with like how that stuff affected him than not. So I don't know.
right.
I understand.
Okay, well, and I would say I've seen Chris Aceto's protocols by some of his clients. Like Chris Aceto's protocols are he like does he they're so minimalist. Like that's the last thing that
Exactly.
the people even consider. Luke was very health conscious. Obviously that gentleman didn't know the backstory, but again, I think that's another one of those things where it's like that's their evidence, that's our bodybuilding evidence-based person, and he has no idea what he's talking about. And then he's
Yeah.
using other people to say that they died for this reason, which just does not help the sport publicly at all.
No.
I think, I mean, I don't know. I've heard Milos Sarkev say this, and I don't fully believe it, but like he said, like he just doesn't think that when you take care of yourself, that bodybuilding is very dangerous. Like when you truly take care of yourself, your nutrition, you take care of your cardio health, you monitor all aspects of everything. It is not necessarily a dangerous thing. Yes, you could have yes, you are increasing your risk, and if you have pre-existing conditions, then you are definitely at a higher risk for developing certain things. But if you actually like take care of yourself like Milos did and does,
Yeah.
which
Well,
he
look at him
looks
now. He's
incredible.
good.
Yeah, he looks incredible now. I mean, Stan Efferding is a great example of that. He fucking abused his body, but he caught it, and he has been checking his blood work and is extremely healthy now. So I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I think unfortunately we have some people who, and Luke is not one of them by any means. Luke's situation is completely not bodybuilding related, in my opinion. I think it was some unresolved, and I hate to speculate, but I think it may have been some unresolved things that were going on with him.
Yeah.
And bodybuilding was
I
actually
mean, that's
something that
what
helped
his best
it.
friends say, and that's
Right.
what
And I think
his training
bodybuilding,
partner found.
right. I think bodybuilding actually helped him, like it does a lot of us, as far as like actually like with depression and all these other things. I think bodybuilding is a great outlet for that, to be able to really find yourself and have that time alone with yourself and things like that. So I don't think bodybuilding hurt someone like him. I think it helped him.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Well, how much time? We've only been on for 45 minutes. Did you want to go into some of your nutrition since we're
Yeah, I'm super down.
okay?
That'd be
Cool.
that'd be cool. So did you want to just kind of like break it down on like what you would do like
Yeah. So what's your situation? How's your training? How's your nutrition currently? What's been going on? Um,
So realistically, I know what. Okay, it's funny. I know what I need to do, but sometimes I have trouble listening to myself.
right.
Um, right now, I've dropped down to maintenance, or what I assess my maintenance to be about. I'm not 100% sure. I'll kind of find out here soon enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But about 2,700 calories.
Okay.
Drop down. And I kind of change things. It's higher protein, it's more moderate carb, moderate fat, just like a recomp essentially. I'm gonna play that out and see how, if I get back to where I want to be, because I feel as if I'm not happy with where my body fat is. I'm not like fat or
Right.
anything, but
Yeah. Yeah. It's creeping up on you.
yeah.
That's kind of where I was. Okay. And so you were massing for probably
Yeah.
about the same amount of time I was, because we were kind of similar schedules, right? Once we got
Yeah.
back to the gym, we both kind of massed for a while. Okay. And so your protein is like at what you would say?
I think it comes out to like 190 grams,
190 grams. And your body weight is what right now?
177 in the mornings.
Okay. So that's like perfect. Um, I'm still, I personally still am like deciding where I should keep protein at, because I've heard people say lean body mass and then just total body weight. Total body weight gives you more of like a cushion. You know what I mean? Like if you,
Mhm.
you know, so like if this was off your lean body mass, you'd probably be like more towards like 1.2 grams or something like that with this amount of protein, right? Versus you're
Yeah.
more towards the 1 gram with just total body weight, which is probably fine. I think that's totally fine. Um, so what's the trajectory? Like, what direction do you want to go in after this? Like, because okay, so if okay, so let's just lay out a couple scenarios. You mass gained, now you want to maintain the gains that you've made over the last 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So because you want to get acclimated to this weight, you're not happy with the body fat. So essentially, what the timeline would have to look like, or I would think would have to look like, is you'd probably do a conventional cut after this. So you could maintenance through the holidays, which is great. Give yourself a mental break. Um, uh, you know, still train and you can still make progress and you can probably still make some gains. Especially because I think that like you're still in that position to where maybe you can still get some of that recomposition effect at maintenance.
Yeah.
They may taper off in the next couple of years, but I think you still may be able to get that. So that would be what would happen is you would essentially through the holidays. So what we're at the end of October. So yeah, you would maintenance through the end of December, right? I would say like 2 months might be a good month. You could do 1 month, but I wouldn't want to be cutting in December. So you would maintenance through the
Yeah.
holidays and you'd cut. The other option is you mini cut now and then you mass through November, December, and then you maintenance January and then you cut towards summer or towards
Yeah.
spring. That's what I would suggest based on my current as far as periodization of your nutrition. What do you think as far as like that direction?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I
Because
I
if you mini cut now, you would be like, maybe Thanksgiving time, really ramping up the food again. Um, I mean, I definitely have to
I
see your
think
pictures too.
yeah. So I think that's definitely something we can talk about. I think I want to kind of get into a mini cut, but I don't know if my food got high enough and I got fat enough to justify that.
Well, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like you had a ridiculous amount of food or you got way too fat, but like even this is what the conversation I had with Jared the other day, um, is that like I was like I'm kind of uncomfortable and I'm going to continue massing because I want to, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. And he was like, if you're uncomfortable, just do a mini cut. And I think that's just where if you're uncomfortable, so I mean, like you got to think about the long term goal, right?
Yeah.
um, do you want to do a conventional cut through, really soon, or do you think you could probably eke out some?
Honestly, I
I
think
think you
that
should. What
what were you saying?
I was going
You
to say,
think I
I think
should?
you could eke out more gains, right?
Yeah.
I don't think from when I last saw you, I don't think you were. I think we may even be like similar body fats. I don't know, but I don't think you were
Yeah.
overly fat to continue massing when I last saw you, and that was like right before we left,
Mhm.
or I left. So it may be smart to do a mini cut. But remember, mini cuts aren't necessarily just to get lean. Like you'll get leaner, but you're going to just
Rate sensitize.
resensitize, right? Exactly. So then maybe towards the end of December you might be getting uncomfortable. That's okay because it's freezing outside. You're not going to be taking off your shirt anywhere anyway. Then
Yeah.
we maintenance right when it starts to get warmer, springtime. You can start doing a conventional cut, realize the gains, and then you can program in the future and realize what direction you want to go.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's funny because I've never actually done like a full blown like when I say conventional cut, I'm looking at it like on a longer scale, let's say like at least like a
Right.
minimum of 2 weeks or
Well,
something like that.
yeah, and how I would recommend periodizing that is that you don't go for like 16 weeks straight. Like you do 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and then you diet break for 2 to 4 weeks, and then you go to maintenance. And I think that's really sustainable. And if we give you a long window to do that, it'll be really sustainable. You can probably make some progress along the way, um, and maybe even compete at the end of that if you wanted to. But you would be it would be in such a sustainable manner that you could really do whatever you want from there. You know what I mean? You'll be in 8 weeks into dieting, and it won't be very much of a struggle. And you could be like, I could probably step on stage, or I could just get a little bit leaner and then mass again, you know, and having that option, not feeling like you're deprived because you dieted straight down. Periodizing it will be really cool. It kind of, I think it puts you in a position where you can really just make a decision, because I think if you do a conventional cut, like the way bodybuilding usually does it, is you just go straight down. You want to get out of that as soon as possible, versus if you go down slowly, you're like, I could probably jump into a show right now. Like when I was doing that maintenance, you know how I did that cut, I was going to do a show. They dieted me for a really long time, and I was really fucking hungry for a while. But once I stayed at maintenance for a really long time, I was like, dude, I could go back into a diet now, because I think I maintained through like part of the quarantine. I was just like, I just went to maintenance for a really long time, and I eventually my hunger got stable, and I was like, wow, like this is the leanest I've been and the most stable I've been being this lean. If I did this again, repeated this cycle of just maybe like a smaller cut and then maintenance, I could probably jump into a show still. But I was like, it's not very certain. So I think periodizing, it puts you in a really advantageous position, because you're not trying to like get out of the diet. You know, you're not like, fuck, I'm starving, I don't want to. So I think as a timeline, that would be really cool. I think if I were you, I would say mini cut, don't do a super aggressive rate of loss, because, you know, I personally had a really hard time I was really aggressive, and it was difficult for me. That's unfortunately the only way dieting's ever been modeled to me, is, you know, aggressive rates of loss for long periods of time. Luckily, this is a short period of time. But I would say, like, since you've never really done a conventional cut, we probably still run you at like a 1% maybe loss for like a month. Right. And then we'd get you out of it. You'd mass through November, December, maintenance for January, maybe February, and then we'll start a conventional cut. Mm-hmm. And then get you lean enough to where we can see what gains you've made or not made, and then assess like, oh, maybe you need to work on this and this, or hey, let's just jump into a show and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so I definitely know what I need to work on. I think we have similar things we need to work on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, it's so, I don't know. I try to take, like progress photos in the same, you know, like standardized progress photos, same lighting. If it's before a workout or after workout, you know, like just make sure I'm comparing the same ones.
Right.
And like I know areas I've brought up, like from the back. I mean, my hamstrings have come up a lot, like the general size of my legs, my back, and all that stuff. And it's like I just look at the front and I'm like, dude, I have no chest, and I like always, I don't know, like no matter what I do, I feel like I'm just not progressing on that enough.
What happened with your training? Because you said were you getting sore at all when you were training your chest? Were you ever getting?
No, so like I wasn't like getting majorly sore, but then I like wouldn't progress on like pressing movements.
I'm trying to think what that is.
Like I'd get sore sometimes, but then like I don't know, with the way the RP like training was set up, it was only like one pressing movement, you know, like for
because that was periodized for arms and shoulders, you know what I mean, like that. I mean, sorry, prioritized for arms and shoulders, so the volume is lower. I mean, if I were you, if you still want to, you know, focus on shoulders and chest, I would take out, like, for me, I think there was too much shrug and trap movement in that plan. You could take out probably like the shrugs and put in another chest movement. You know what I mean? I would personally, like, I already have decent enough traps, and I don't really wish to grow them a whole lot. Like, and with the deadlifting and all those stuff, I personally believe that helps. So you could probably take out one of those if you want to still run that program. Take out one of those exercises and put in another chest exercise, one that you connect really well with.
Running program, I just there's just a couple things that I've changed out really. And like I started getting into like stiff leg deadlifts, and like there's been a couple exercises where I've gone into a groove with them, and I've just had like very linear progression, which is obviously pretty rare. Like I don't, you know, it's been really good, you know. So stiff leg deadlifts, and then there was a while where I was putting in incline barbell over incline dumbbell, and I was progressing on that incredibly. And then for some reason I hit like a halt on that. But
I mean, it's possible that you. Do you think it's maybe possible that you were getting too close to failure? Oh, and for people who don't know what we're talking about So the easiest way I can explain this is Renaissance periodization is we follow their training model. So it's progressive over weeks. You train with increasing proximity to failure. So you go from 3 reps in reserve to 2 to 1. Over the weeks, you increase load or reps over the weeks, and then you deload. And we're talking about using their templates is what we were using, their arm and shoulder templates specifically. But do you think that it's possible that you were getting too close to failure on your pressing movements, and maybe your recovery
Yeah,
capabilities are actually really low on your chest and you just need less?
I think I was getting too close to failure for sure because yeah, no, most definitely there was. And then there was times where I didn't progress. So it's like, what is that saying? It's like I'm literally
So
like at
so I mean, that's just something that you can use as information. So you're obviously, then you're getting too close to failure, right? Then that means that after you deload, you need to be more conscious, especially on that exercise, of where your failure is, where your failure point is. Maybe like what does the bar speed look like when I actually hit failure on this exercise? What does the bar speed look like when I hit 3RR? What does it feel like? Try to kind of take mental note of that. If you're in the middle of a cycle, and you are not progressing and you think you hit failure last week, or you went too hard the last week, then maybe do a reactive deload, which would mean that I believe, I have to look at my notes, but as far as a reactive deload, I believe you're going to take the weight. I think you take the sets down in half that day, maybe even the weight. I'll send this to you later. And then the next week you start with 2/3 of the volume, and then you build back up. And then if it's truly really bad, it's systemically happening, meaning you're not progressing on everything. That means you need to deload. That happened to me this last training cycle at week 4, which is a 5-week cycle. At week 4, once I started week 5, I was hitting a wall on multiple exercises, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" That just means that you're just overreached altogether, and you just need to deload. So I actually deloaded. It was like when I was moving, and it was like chaotic, but I went way too hard the previous week and didn't realize it, and then I started getting frustrated because I wasn't hitting my lifts. I was like, "What the heck?" And so that's when I deloaded, basically. So just be conscious of that, and then deload when.
yeah.
So as far as your nutrition, yeah, what's up?
Say that again.
Oh, I was gonna say, as far as your nutrition, like what do you think is the direction you want to go in as far as that goes?
It's honestly been super simple. It's been like the same foods that I usually eggs and Ezekiel toast in the morning. That's just like my standard. I don't know.
Yep.
I really, really like that one. And then after that, I am doing an MRE by Redcon One.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, it's not as good as a whole foods meal, but for me, it's worked really, really well. Just for me to get like extra like 500 calories in. Then after that, I have it's literally just ground beef and rice, and then some carrots. And on that one, it's like 5 ounces, and then it's 200 grams of rice and a couple carrots. And I have another MRE after that, and then the meal before that is the one that I have in the evening time.
What's that?
The ground beef and rice.
So you're essentially doing ground beef and rice for 2 meals, 2 MREs, and an egg meal. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would say, well, I would recommend having maybe one of those MREs out occasionally, maybe doing like a wild fish or a top sirloin steak or something like that. If you can occasionally, that would just be my recommendation. How are you doing on veggies?
All right. I have spinach with the eggs in the morning. Then I have the carrots with the ground beef. But other than that, I'm not really doing anything else.
Yeah, I would maybe throw in a pepper or zucchini here or there. Definitely a potato for potassium. So I would.
Yeah. Okay. So the last meal, sometimes I'll do potato in the air fryer, or sometimes I'll do rice. But it's usually it equates out to the same amount of carbs.
Right, but I'm more worried about the potassium just for like overall meeting your potassium requirement. So I would try to do that more consistently, is have a potato. And if you're like, man, I don't really want potato, maybe do like 4 ounces at least. That would probably be the lowest I would go with potato. You got eggs in there. You do the cranberry juice?
I haven't done the cranberry juice in a while. I do orange juice though.
So either get iodized salt or go to Trader Joe's and just buy a bunch of those. That'll
Okay.
help. I'm just, again, these are just little things that I think do help. Like they make a difference.
No, they most definitely do. I know the iodine is going to help with the is it thyroid function
Yeah,
or
your thyroid
insulin
function.
sensitivity? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know as much insulin sensitivity, but yeah, it's definitely thyroid because especially as athletes, you sweat out iodine as well. When you exercise, you lose iodine, so it's definitely important to replace that. Other than that, I think that's pretty much all you'll need. You got the orange juice in there. So yeah, I would just, if you can, occasionally put in maybe a whole food meal like some wild salmon or like poke or
Yeah.
something. You could do more steak. Either or is probably good. Just maybe it may make a small difference, but when you can, I actually think I was going to pick up some MRE too, just because it's more convenient sometimes to get a meal in. It's really cool actually out here in Arizona. They have a place called One Stop Nutrition, and they're fucking everywhere. And they're just like, you can go in and customize a protein shake. And like they have the whole menu, and you can pick it out. It's a supplement store, but it's also like it's really cool actually. They're
That's
everywhere
really
too.
cool.
There's one in the mall that I work at, and there's one next to my gym. So it's like anywhere I'm at, I have like if I don't have a meal, I can just go walk in. It's like $5 and you can get a shake.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I was like so surprised. I've never seen that before. So and like I was wondering why everybody at the restaurant, like because I work at the restaurant, and people are drinking like C4s like every day, and bangs and all this stuff. I'm like, where are you guys getting this? And they're always drinking protein shakes. And it was like literally a couple stores down, there's a fucking supplement store. So that's pretty
That's
cool.
awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, the accessibility is really cool right here. I mean, I think it's because Arizona is such like a fitness community, but like the accessibility to things like that is like there's like a gym every corner. Like there's tons of nutrition stores. There's tons of healthy eating. So it's a really cool place as far as that goes. Anyway, sorry, that was this an off tangent rant. Okay, so
No, that's fine.
so I can help you with your calories. What do you want to do, or do you want to think about it?
I think I should definitely think about it, but realistically, like I think I should go into I just don't want to. I think the best would be to do like a mini cut and then get back into the calories and get things going back up. Because I don't know, for me, I feel as if like I I need to work on progressing quicker as opposed to putting myself into a position to be like cutting over a long term where I don't think I should be.
Right. I think for your knowing you and myself too, is like you just need to put on more muscle, right? Like to feel like confident to go into cut. And I'm the same way. This is why like I always like I'm like I don't know if I want to compete. Like I'll start doing a prep and I'm like, man, because like I have this envisioned like physique that I want to look like, and I'm like, like I don't really see the point in competing if I don't really look how I want to look. And I think you're kind of the same way. You're just like I still need to put on muscle. So it long term this would make more sense. I think you're going to put on more mass as much as you can at this point. We're going to optimize this time and then get you lean enough, and then you can go back up if you feel necessary. Let's just do the math real quick. So I have right here my notes. Actually, it's funny because I just finished that book and I've been taking notes on similar things. So let's see. Okay, so what's your maintenance?
2,700.
So you think your maintenance is 2,700?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. So if we were going to run you, so the math here, a 1%, and I would just recommend reading the book to understand this because I'm still kind of understanding it. It basically is the math is based off of 1 gram of fat or 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So they've made these equations based off of that. So what you would do to find your deficit for a 1% loss over 4 weeks is you would take your weight in pounds and multiply it times 5.0. So you said what was it?
2,700 calories.
No, your weight. What's your weight?
177.
177. So 177, and we multiply that by 5 to find 1% loss of body weight, right? So multiply that by 5. So your deficit would need to be 885 calories. So yeah, it's a pretty dude. No, you want to know my deficit was 1,500 calories.
Bro.
So shut the fuck up, right?
It was what? How many calories?
1,500. Well, and not to mention, I was already in a surplus, so I was at 4,700. So I went down to maintenance, which was 4,000, and I took it down to 2,450. So this is fucking nothing compared.
Eating no food, bro.
You'll just be eating. Well, okay, so this is why we need to be specific about. I'll tell you how I structured mine, right? Okay, so let's just make sure. So 2,700, let's minus 885. 1815. So, okay, this would be 1,815 calories, right? Okay. Okay. So now your weight. So we would want to hit your minimum fat requirement. So your weight is 177. 0.3 grams is 0.3 grams per pound is enough to meet your hormonal necessary amount of dietary fat. So times 0.3. So we need you at 53 grams of fat. Okay. And then we would want your protein at least at body weight. I would say get your protein to 200 grams per pound because it'll be a little bit more satiating. So, I mean, sorry, 200 grams. So a little bit closer to that 1.2. Well, let's see what your body weight is times 1.2.
200 grams per pound.
Yeah, 200 grams per pound. Shit, that's what bodybuilders are doing right now still. 500 grams of protein for a 250-pound bodybuilder or 220-pound bodybuilder. I have a nutrition log somewhere of a coach who had me eating like 500-600 grams of protein. I was just like, oh my God. All right, anyway. So yeah, I would say your protein anywhere from 200 to 210 grams per pound, okay?
Yeah.
And then the rest would be carbohydrates. So we would take 210. I should be just doing this on 4. No. So 210. Yeah, you're right, actually, times 4. So that's 840. And then we have, what was the fat?
53 times 9.
53 times 9, because fat is 9 calories per gram. So you have 477. Why did I write 84? God, okay, wait, I'm stupid. Okay, 210 times 4, 840. Okay, and then your total calorie amount is 1815. So we're going to take 1815, and we're going to subtract the amount of calories from carbohydrates and the amount of calories from fat. So we got 1815 minus 840 minus 4. So you got 528 calories from carbohydrates. Now we're going to divide that by 4 to find out how many grams carbohydrates. So you got 132 grams of carbohydrates.
Wow.
So what I would recommend you do is if you're going to do MRE, do MRE light is like their non-fat one. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just lower calorie.
Okay. So maybe do MRE light or do their isolate, Redcon one's isolate. Get your fat down, right? You want to be able to allot as much carbohydrates. You could maybe even drop it a little bit below this 53 grams. 2 whole eggs. Here, let's just do this. How much time you got?
I got time.
Okay. Here, I should screen share. Let's make you a sheet real quick.
We're gonna do the magical screen sharing stuff.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find a meal plan template for you.
But essentially, try to hit the micronutrients in that allotted amount of calories.
Right. Because that will ultimately help with satiety, help with performance. You don't want to just be useless for 4 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. So I got that for you. So I'm gonna screen share. Okay. So we got Jordan's mini cut.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. I'll try to do this quickly because I have to pee.
And this is for everybody trying to learn how to apply.
Yeah, I probably should have done the. Okay, well, one, I'm not an expert on the mini cut. I just read the book and finished it like last week, and I've done one myself. So if you really need an expert, go to RP or read their book. It's only like $15. It's a really good book. It's really insightful, and you learn a lot actually about dieting, not just mini cuts. Okay, so we'd have you at 2 whole eggs, and your body weight is 177. The leucine threshold, the amount of protein you want to hit a meal, is probably within the 30 to 40 gram range. So if you're 177 pounds, divide that by 4. So 107. So you would do 5 meals. Again, you're already doing that. That's about 5.5 ounces of protein, maybe 5 for 5 meals.
Yeah.
And you want to hit around 35 grams of protein. So 2 whole eggs. How many grams of protein is that?
It's like 16, 18.
No, I think it's like more towards like 14. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
I can just look at my last.
Oh,
diet.
yeah. I'd say an egg is probably like what, 6 grams of protein, 7 grams of protein.
Well, yeah, let me look at my mini cut diet because I had the minimum amounts in here too. I have like a year's worth of nutrition logs on here, I think. Well, no, not a year.
Yeah, it's 3
Well,
whole
no,
eggs, so 6,
let's see.
or pretty much 7.
Mini cut. 2 whole eggs, 14 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat. Okay, 10 grams of fat. And then what do you eat with breakfast usually?
Ezekiel toast. 2 slices, and those are actually really low carb in all honesty.
Do you know what the nutrition is on them?
I got it right over there. You can give me 1 second.
Okay, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, these are only 60 calories a slice. They're only 12 carbs, 3 protein, and 1.5 grams fat.
And we have 132 grams of carbs. So we would do 2 slices. What? Okay, wait, what's for 2 slices? So 2 slices.
Yeah, 2 slices. The protein would be 6 grams.
6 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
How many carbs?
24.
24 carbs. How much fat?
3 grams.
3 grams. Okay. And then let's say you would need 3 egg whites. Zero. Okay. Yep, that macros looks pretty good right there. And then you would do your cranberry juice if you can get your hands on it. If not, do iodized salt, and then you can do spinach in that meal too. Okay. Let's see if I can find the label for like a whey isolate. It's usually the same for most. Okay, let's say you used isotope. We probably just do the shakes by themselves. When do you train? In the morning or afternoon?
No. So honestly, it's usually about 6 p.m. that I train at.
Okay, that's perfect. So we'll do no carbs in this meal. We'll just do a shake. Okay. So we'll just do 35 grams protein from isotope or any isolate. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to mix it with milk?
No. Do
not?
you do that?
Why not?
That's gross, bro.
Protein with milk? What the fuck are you talking about? It's like the best.
Dude, I don't like protein shakes. So if I ever have one, I'm just trying to get it down quickly. So I just mix it with water.
Okay. So we'll do isotope with that meal. Let's do your. Let me see. See how fast I can do this. It's like I should have set a timer to see how fast I can set up your diet. I took way too long to share. I was making someone's diet. It took me like 3 hours. I don't know why. I was just like, I ate an edible before. It's probably why. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I did a great job at it though. I didn't fuck it up. I just was over analytical about little details that I probably shouldn't have cared about. I was like, should I put this many grams of orange here or here?
Dude, edibles, that'll creep up on you.
I take them for anxiety actually. So like work really stresses me out. And I just kind of take them I microdose them just to like literally it just helps me slow my thinking down and just be calm. And I've actually weighed out the pros and cons of it. And it's just more so like, and I think it's much worse for my gains to be anxious than it is to take a little bit of THC to calm myself down. And I don't want to take actual anxiety medication. So I think that's kind of the trade-off there. Okay, let's see. We were looking up. What kind of 93.7 would probably be good? Well, we could use it. Oh yeah, no, let's do 93.7 ground beef.
That lean.
96.4 is the leanest, bro. Okay, let's see. 1 ounce. How many? I would say you probably need about 5.5 ounces. Let's see. Nutrition info. How? That's not 21 grams of protein. Okay, this one's wrong. Stupid. Okay, grams. Can we do an ounce? Thank you. Sometimes it'll be like milliliters, and I'm like, okay,
5 milliliters.
that looks a little more correct.
Yeah.
And how much grams of protein are we trying to get you at per meal? 35.
Like 200, 210?
No, but the thing is, yeah. Why are none of these like right? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Because that seems more correct. That I think that's right. Because I know like 6 ounces of ground beef is like 36 grams of protein. Okay, so we're trying to hit you 35 a meal. So that's perfect. So 5.5 ounces of ground beef, 5.5 ounces, 93.7 ground beef. And so when do you think you'll be training? Meal 4?
Yeah. After meal 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here I would say chicken or a shake. Chicken breast. Here, let's do this. There we go.
I have made some air fryer chicken, and it's not as bad.
Yeah, I was hating chicken for a while, but if you get it right, I bought a cast iron pan recently. That's been nice.
Yeah, I got one of those as well. No,
Oh, dude, we need to talk about my blood work because my iron was high. My iron was high. Okay, first of all, I had the most perfect panel I've ever had in my whole life. Like literally on a blast, on cycle. Like I was so happy when I got it. Like I just anyway, I'll maybe we can get to that if we have time. If not, we'll do another video. 5 ounces of chicken. What else we got? We got the option of I have round. 5. I know you hate it, but it's red meat, dude.
I know.
I actually like it. Okay, so when you're in a deficit, it's nice to have to chew. So it's okay. This is your options for this meal. Okay, so you can just pick from the pull down bar here, whatever one you want, and that would probably be about. I would say it's about 36 grams, 35 grams protein. We'll just call it even there, 35. Nero, on average, that would be anywhere from, let's just say 5 grams of fat max. So you can always add, like, if you do the shake. Well, no, don't add that. If you do the shake, let me think about this. Okay, so we're gonna do no carbs here. Here we would want to do no carbs. You want your carbs around your workout. So
some potato.
Yeah, we would stick mostly potato and oatmeal. You got the Ezekiel toast there. So I would do for satiety reasons, you're probably not going to want to eat rice just because you'll get really hungry if you don't. 37.5 I have here. I don't know if this is correct, but it's more important that you just eat the same amount, you know?
Educational purposes right now.
What?
I said this part is for educational purposes anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if my macros are correct, but
it's fine.
It's hard to find correct macros for cooked food.
Oh, I know.
We're at 33 and 11.
I've been doing cupping lately.
How's that been? I have a cup kit too.
Honestly,
working for?
feels pretty good. It just like brings blood to the area.
Yeah,
So I
I've been
mean,
reading. I was reading RP's recovery book, and they were saying how like basically any passive recovery doesn't really do much. The benefit of it is relaxation. I will say with cupping, I've noticed that like it helps facilitate movement and it helps with pain, which I think in turn will help you train. But I think the benefits of those are more of like the actual like the placebo that we get and the actual like I think for that one it does facilitate movement a little bit, especially if you're stiff in a certain area. So
I don't
I
know if
use
your T3
if
is real.
what
No, I was just reading the thing you had open.
what does it say? Where?
How to know if your T3 is real.
Oh, I don't even think I finished that one. I like reading his articles instead of watching his
Yeah, no,
videos.
Derek is a great source of knowledge.
Yeah, I mean that's I would attribute my blood work being perfect from reading his article about how to cycle properly. Shit, sautéed spinach and
Okay.
peppers if you can. Okay, and then here. Damn it. Okay, let's reopen my fitness pal here. Maddie, you can take the dogs out. Sorry, they're like hiding in the room. The dogs are probably losing it.
How's how are the dogs, Luca and Navi?
They're doing good. I have a really gross story. When we came over here, they like couldn't handle the traveling stress. Like Luca was okay, like he kind of was losing it a little bit, but Navi couldn't. Like she was like checking the doors and like kept running around. And Maddie had to drive her over here. I don't know, I'm choppy right now, but Maddie had to drive her over here. And apparently Navi was so stressed out that she shit blood. So Maddie knew she had to go to the bathroom and she was driving over here. Navi's like freaking out. She just is so stressed from the new environment. And she's like, I think she has to go to the bathroom. She pulls over the side of the road really quick and the dog just like throwing up and shitting blood. And we're like, oh no, is there something wrong? But she just literally couldn't handle traveling. Anyway, that's a disgusting story. But yeah. Poor little dog.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. What the fuck was I going to look up? You distracted me by making me talk about my dog.
Oatmeal, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Damn it, Jordan. No, they're great though. They're my children.
Assuming artificial sweeteners are allowed.
Yes. Try to stick to liquid sweeteners and liquid stevia if you can too, because it just yields no calories. God damn it. I just need oatmeal in grams. Come on. Grams. Why is this? Let's see. I had a
There was
Safeway
one
one.
that was grams.
Where?
Go up. 45 grams.
Pete's. Is that like a normal oatmeal though? Yes. Okay. Let's do 60 grams.
Dry.
Fuck. Oh my god. Yeah, I know. This thing was doing this last night. I'm so frustrated with this computer. It's gonna make me re-sign in now. No. Sorry. Technology is frustrating. Okay. Let's see if we can find it again.
Could just look up Pete's oatmeal.
Oh, it's right there. Okay. 1 gram. 60 grams. Nutrition info. Please. Thank you. 40 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fat.
Hmm.
grams of fat? 4 grams of fat, 8 grams of protein. How many calories are we at? We need 18, 15, 16, 14. Okay, so we can probably give you some more carbohydrates. How much fat are we at? 44. Probably do 1 tablespoon of peanut butter just to hold you over. Well, is that enough? Yeah, I think that might be enough carbohydrates. 122. We could push. Do you want more fat or more carbohydrates?
I'd rather have the peanut butter.
Okay. If I remember correctly. Let's pull that correctly. Tablespoon peanut butter. Okay, I think this is your macros here. So we could probably, yeah, we could probably add a little bit after we. Well, we could add more carbohydrates now. Let's see. Or do you want more carbohydrates? You could add like 10 grams somewhere. On a quarter cup of rice somewhere or something.
Probably meal 4. I'd rather have more carbs, or actually no, meal 3, because there's really none in there.
Let's do a quarter cup of rice, which would be how many?
Wow, a quarter cup.
Yeah, it's gonna be small. 12.5. It'll just add some, it'll make the food a little bit more edible though,
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, let's see how that is. Okay, now we can do a half cup. There we go. Let's do 25 carbs. There we go. Fucking right on point, bro. Okay, this is what it would look like if you did a mini cut. How does that look?
That doesn't look too bad.
Yeah, and it really isn't. What's up?
Then I wouldn't really know until I did it.
Right. And you can communicate with me. I kind of developed some tricks. Like I was making salads. Like you could volumize your food more, eat more veggies here. Crystal Light, I said, is okay. You can use the squirt ones. Get a Splenda, the liquid one. You can find it at Safeway. If not, you can just use Splenda packets.
I have stevia drops that are like the
That's perfect.
ones.
Use that. Yeah, you can use any diet soda in unlimited quantities. So and you should be fine with that, dude. Pre, inter, post, just make sure you salt your food.
Yeah, most definitely.
On your rest days, I would remove your least satiating carbohydrates. I would probably, if on your rest day, I'm not going to make this whole other part of the plan here, but on your rest day, I would probably either maybe pull, I would just pull breakfast carbs personally, because I'm okay with not having a whole lot during breakfast. But if you're hungry, then keep that and then pull carbs from here. Not a whole lot, probably like 25 grams of carbs, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So your half cup of rice or your Ezekiel toast. If you notice your weight goes up too much on your rest days, pull more carbs. Yeah, that's it. Pretty simple. You're looking for 1% of rate of loss for about 4 weeks, but just remember that you're going to lose a lot of weight the first week and maybe the second. So the third will actually be due calculation. So the third, you'll probably be losing around 1.7, 1.8 pounds per week.
Okay.
The first, you might lose 7 the first, you might lose 5 the next, and then that third week, you should probably be right on point.
I appreciate this, and I hope everybody learned how to make a mini cut for themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure. I probably wasn't thorough enough for most people, but let me share that with you. What's your email? So everybody can see.
Yeah.
What is it?
YNP. Photo. PHOTO.
Oh, photo after, like P.
Yeah.
YNPP.
Yeah.
Okay.
NPP foot.
NPP. All right. What is it? At Gmail?
At gmail.com.
Okay. All right. You guys know where to reach Jordan for coaching services.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I sent that to you. if you need any modifications, let me know. Send me your pictures too, just so I can
most definitely
kind of use that later. Yeah, what time is it? 10:31. Do you want to talk about my blood work really fast?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have my
Or
panel up
we could
here.
save it for another thing if we want to be more in depth about it. It's more up to you.
I would like to actually, if you want to. I was going to do one by myself, but I don't have anybody who wants to talk about blood work with me
Well,
because
I would
like
love to.
everybody's okay. Let's do it because everybody's like so scared of talking about that topic for some reason. I don't know why.
Why?
So, I don't fucking know. I think it helps a lot of people and keeps a lot of people
Yeah,
safe.
dude,
So
most definitely. I actually, it's really funny. I was watching a. Okay, well, little less relevant, but still relevant because it's blood work. But it was Derek's video on.
yeah.
I don't even know the guy's name, but it was his blood work because the guy kind of skirted
Oh.
around everything, but he was just going over how essentially the keto diet was affecting his blood work and how yeah, essentially how the guy wasn't showing his LH and FSH because he didn't want people to know he was enhanced. So
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that. I don't give a shit if people know if I'm enhanced or not. I just want to help people do what's safer. All right, yeah, like okay, well, if you got time either this week or next week, let's go over my panel. I think it's really
Thursday morning probably. That's the only time this week that I don't have fucking
maybe
work.
Thursday morning. If not, we'll do next week.
Okay.
I have deload training this week, so I might be able to do it. So we'll talk.
Yeah, I'm super down to go over blood work.
Cool. Sounds good, bro.
Sweet. All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, definitely, man. Have a good day. Text me. Talk to you soon.
Most definitely. Later, bro.
See you.